You know, I remember leading up to Y2K. Do you remember that? Everybody was going crazy. No one had anticipated that computers would last long enough where you would need to plan for the year 2000. All the computers were designed and developed with just a couple of zeros in them, and they didn't know how to deal with these extra years. And what was going to happen? Was it going to think it was 1900 again, or was it going to be 2000? And do you remember how people prepared? They stocked up. They had gallons and gallons of water and food that could last for months. And there was just this pandemonium that set in, trying to get ready, to be prepared. And I remember sitting in our room as midnight struck halfway across the world, as we began to look for signs that this major catastrophe that was going to be caused by these computers going wild would come to fruition. But as each time zone struck midnight, and as everything continued to go along swimmingly, we all realized that we had over-prepared. Certainly earlier in our country's history, people prepared during the height of the Cold War. Bomb shelters were prepared in very much the same way for a far more serious problem, as we just didn't know what this buildup of arms, particularly those that could pretty much take care of all of us, would do. We tried to be prepared. We prepared our homes and we prepared our schools, our communities, for that great unknown. One of the other texts for today comes from the prophet Isaiah. We heard a beautiful anthem this morning, and we'll hear more from Isaiah throughout the course of this Advent season. In Isaiah, the 2nd chapter, the word of Isaiah, son of Amos, saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. In the days to come, the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established as the highest of the mountains, and shall be raised above the hills. All the nations shall stream to it. Many peoples shall come and say, come, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob, that he may teach us his ways, and that we may walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall come forth instruction, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. He shall judge between the nations, and shall arbitrate for many peoples. They shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall there be no war anymore. O house of Jacob, come, let us walk in the light of the Lord. Again, this theme of house and preparing God's house, as Isaiah writes about what comes to fruition in Revelation, is a new earth, as a new home for God is established, lifted high above all other houses. God's home. There are so many places in the Bible where we hear about preparations. Zacchaeus going to prepare his home for Jesus to share a meal. Next week we will celebrate communion, and we know that the disciples had to go and prepare the upper room. We go and we prepare. We get ready. In a few weeks we will know that the owner of the inn was ill prepared for who would come his way. Before we get there, we think about our homes. We think about our lives. We think about how we need to get ready. We know how the world gets ready. I joked around about a month ago that before we even got to Halloween, that Home Depot had Christmas trees up. We were riding by yesterday, and Zach said, well, I guess it's all right if they have their Christmas trees up now, Daddy, huh? And I said, yeah, now they can have their Christmas trees up, and so can we. The world would have us prepare our homes with a bunch of stuff and things. They would have us get ready by spending money. God bless you. The world would have us get ready by acquiring things we didn't know we needed. There's so many gadgets for Christmas. When we went to buy our tree yesterday, there are all the little extras you can buy. They had this little mat that you could buy that supposedly absorbed tree water and protected your floor. And you got the little funnels that someone came up with to water your tree. And there's all kind of newfangled stands, and there's all kind of things that you can buy, as if the tree were not expensive enough. I refused to get any of that. We went home, and I climbed under the tree with a gallon of water, and I poured it in there, and I'll do the same thing every morning for the next 4 weeks. You know, a gallon bucket works pretty good. So we think about how it is that we get ready, that we become prepared, but yet we don't overdo it. A simple tree with some lights and with some ornaments. There are all kind of beautiful ornaments on our tree, and many of them have a history. I said I wasn't going to say any more about this, but one of the traditions that has been in our household since that fateful day in 1995 is that we have a number of Christmas ornaments. Some of them are Georgia Tech ornaments, and some of them represent another school. And as we begin to decorate the tree, whoever's team won the game that year gets to place their ornaments higher on the tree. There's a lot of red and black toward the top of our tree, but the white and gold proudly finds its place at its base, the foundation. It's become our tradition. And Zach has made ornaments that now go on our tree. And then Shannon, in the greatest coup in her family, her grandmother had these beautiful handmade Santa Clauses. And her mom comes over one Christmas and sees all of these hand-crocheted Santa Clauses on our tree and wants to know where they came from. Apparently her mother doesn't have any, but she and her sister do. Christmas trees get prepared and they get put together. Now there are these designer trees that are all gorgeous and have a theme and have all this amazing stuff on them. But my tree has some colored lights and some ornaments that mean something to us, that remind us of days gone by and give us a hope for the future. Oh, our traditions are much different today than they were when I was a child. When I was a child, the traditions were different because times were different. But today, those traditions are just as important, just as special as we get ready. Now, we also have to prepare our cars. You know, that's become the big thing, right? We got to get our cars ready. And so it began with people just maybe putting a wreath on the front. Well, now we've got the Rudolph kit for the car. You seen this? We've got a red nose and some antlers. Last year we had a little mishap on the way down to Callaway Gardens. We rolled down one of the windows with the antlers on it, and we became a one-antlered reindeer for the rest of Advent. We get these things ready. We have fun. We laugh. We smile. But as Jasmine alluded to in her prayer, we're also mindful that as we prepare our homes, that there are others that have no home to prepare. There are others that just hope that the morning will come. They prepare day in and day out just to try to find a warm place to sleep, to make their day where they can get to the places around the city that will offer them food and shelter. And certainly as a church committed to being the hands and feet of Christ in the city, we will do our best this Advent to help others prepare, even if they can't imagine what our preparations are like. Hopefully, prayerfully, we can help them find a place in their heart for Christ. But we know all too well that it's hard to let Christ in when you have nothing. There has to be a certain level of basic need met before one can know the joy of the one who's to come. Or maybe, just maybe, it is just that, the joy and hope of the one who's to come that sustains them in difficult times. So how do we get ready? How do we prepare? How do we make our homes ready? How do we make our lives ready? The homeowner, had he known when Christ was coming, would have been prepared. You know, there's something to always having things ready, isn't there? When we have unexpected guests, not having to scramble around the house, picking things up and straightening things up and getting ready. But none of us really can do that, can we? So how is it that we get ready for Christ to come? How is it that we keep ourselves from getting caught off guard? Here's a secret. We're all looking toward December 25th with anticipation and expectation. But the reality is that Christ could walk into this room at any minute. That as we leave this sanctuary this morning, as we go to get in our cars, as we go to lunch, somewhere along the way we may come face to face with Christ. This week as we go to work or we go to the mall to buy some Christmas gifts, if you've not yet made it to the tree lot to get your tree, or if you've not yet pulled it down out of the attic, when you go to buy some additional lights or ornaments, you might run into them there. Once December 25th has come and gone and we find ourselves in the midst of a new year, as we find ourselves in the midst of the afterglow of Christmas, the babe may come around the corner unexpectedly. It's easy this time of year to get ready because it seems as though the whole world wants what Isaiah is talking about. It seems as though people want peace. They want to get along. They try to be better neighbors and friends. They try to open the doors of their homes to others and welcome them in. When I was a child, we sang in the chorus at Montclair Elementary School over near Claremont Road. And I know singing, y'all figured out, is a scary proposition for me, but I love to sing. And I was in the chorus, and one of the songs that we sang one year, that we sang over at Lenox Mall as part of our performance, was "Let's Keep Christmas the Whole Year Through. Think of all the good we'd do." Can you imagine if that Christmas spirit, if we prepared each and every day for Christ the way that we do during these 3 or 4 weeks of Advent? How would the world be different? As we sit in the sanctuary this morning, we come each Sunday recognizing that we live in a world full of turmoil. We live in a world where war rages on. And it seems as though every day brings us news of new conflict, new problems. But the good news of the gospel and of Advent is that if we prepare our homes, that Christ will come in. If the whole world became God's home, then as Isaiah said, there would be no more need for implements of war, but only implements of creation, those things that bring about life and hope and love. So we've begun the preparations. The wreaths and garland are hung. The tree sits majestically in front of our sanctuary. But over the next few weeks, we will need to continue to prepare. We will need to continue to get ready. For our house is ready. But what about our hearts? What about our souls? What about our spirits? Will you join me as we continue to prepare? In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Our hymn of invitation and commitment this morning, hymn number 249. There's a song in the air. If you're here this morning and would like to become a part of this fellowship, if you would like to prepare for the Advent season by becoming a member of this church, I invite you to come forward as we sing. Please stand as we sing hymn number 249.